Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in, all that good stuff. I've been missing for a while, and I only really noticed that I was missing for a while. I hadn't realized how much time had passed or crept by. I've only noticed because a friend of mine, when I talked to him, he was like, "You've been missing on YouTube. You haven't really been doing your YouTube videos lately. I've been looking and I haven't been seeing you." And I was like, wow, like I feel like maybe I haven't been doing them for a month, but here we are 2 months later. It's April, and I just kind of let time slip away from me because I've been going through some stuff. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Kind of depression versus grief, or versus a period of sadness. Here in America, for some reason, we're just so quick to yell out, "I'm depressed," or "we're depressed." And I'm also guilty of it. When I feel a sad feeling, I'm just quick to say, "Oh, I'm depressed," for whatever reason. But is that really depression? You're going to go through periods of downtime when you're not feeling your best self. But I feel like as long as you have a reason to be sad, it doesn't necessarily have to be labeled depression. You're going to see me looking down at my notes. I took some little notes. So as I was saying, depression is when you feel sad for no reason. When I Googled the definition of depression, it actually says, depression, a constant feeling of sadness and loss of interest, which stops you from doing your normal activities. Okay, so that's kind of depression in a nutshell. And there were many definitions. Even Webster had a totally different definition for depression. It just was saying different things, lack of interest, but what I'm trying to get at is, if you have a reason to feel sad, or if you're dealing with any type of grief, you're not necessarily depressed. Okay. Depression is like a feeling. It just comes out of nowhere. You may not be able to pinpoint it. I feel like if you can pinpoint it, it's not depression. It's sadness. Let's just call it what it is. It's sadness. Okay. You can be dealing with grief. When we say grief, okay, let's look at the definition of grief. Grief is the normal response to a major loss, such as the death of a loved one. Now, I've always thought in the past that grief was when you lose a loved one, but turns out you can grieve the loss of a relationship and the person, be still alive, or, it didn't turn out the way you thought it should or how you wanted it to. So you can grieve the loss of a friendship. You can grieve the loss of a job. You can also grieve the loss of how you thought things were going to turn out. Like if you thought you were going to have this type of life and turns out you can't have that type of life. It's not in the cards for you. You can also grieve that. Okay. So there's lots of different types of grief. I just personally went through the loss of my sister. So I've been caught up in that grief. Grief comes out of nowhere. You don't know how someone's loss is going to affect you until it happens to you. I've lost a lot of people over the years, and each one is totally different. Some losses feel like, you have to go, you always have to go through it. It never really leaves you. The sadness never really leaves you, and it hits you at different points of time. But some just linger, and you kind of get lost in yourself, and you lose track of time. You you can't function normally because that's all that's on your mind. It's all that you're thinking of. You may lose your appetite. Your appetite may increase, which was the case for me. Because you're looking for those things that give you a little pocket of joy. So when I say for me, eating, I was on like a weight loss journey or an exercise journey and trying to get my body in shape. And when I lost my sister, I just lost interest in everything. I lost interest in trying to lose weight. So I started eating again everything that I wanted to eat because I was like, what's the point? I stopped working out because, again, what was the point? Like, I was just in this mode of just feeling sad all the time. So I lost interest in a lot of things that had piqued my interest at one point. And I know me, I know that it eventually, I was going to slowly come out of it, but it really didn't hit me as to how long I had been in that grief until, like I said, my friend said something about it and said, hey, you haven't been online in a while. What's up? So, I kind of got lost. I kind of lost track of time. Like, the weeks were just passing, the months were just passing, and here we are in April. And I also slacked on my business goals. I've been creating my website and I was all set to launch it, and then this happened. So I just kind of stopped in my tracks. That's what I did. I stopped everything in my tracks. I stopped in my tracks and just kind of been stuck. And grief can do that to you, no matter what the loss is. You have to fight through it to, I guess, gain your strength back and just kind of bring yourself back to whatever your new normal is. And that's the reality of it. You're facing a new normal. So sometimes your normal is not going back to what you're used to. If it's a new normal, then you have to adjust, and it may be a good or a bad thing. Who wants to live without their sibling? I mean, tap in if you've lost a sibling. It's like no other loss that I've experienced. It's just weird. It's weird. Especially when they're so young and full of life and had plans, and it was just instant. It's fucked up, is what it is. And you kind of just I don't even have the words. You see, I'm feeling my way back. I'm here on camera. I was at a point where I thought I would never smile about anything again, because what's funny, and I kind of, every time I did smile, I kind of felt guilty for smiling, because I was like, I have to be sad. That's who I am right now. I'm feeling sad. So why is this funny? Why is this making me laugh? I don't want to do this. No, I'm sad. It's like I had adopted it as my identity, being sad, grieving that loss. I'm still not through grieving the loss of some of my other family members and friends. And then here we come with another one. So I guess the best way to understand it is that it's a process. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, the more we live, the more the people around us are going to pass away. What helps is looking at it in a different light. That light is, we've lost them in the physical, but we've gained them in the spiritual. And you never really understand that until you've lost someone really close to you. And I felt it because I know what they mean when they say you gain them in the spiritual, because Only way I can explain it is my grandfather, when he died, I was devastated. I was mad. Like that grief was a little bit different because I was mad. I was angry. I was mad at God. I was just mad. I had an attitude. Like, even at his funeral, I had an attitude. I was just mad with the world. And I didn't know how I was going to even get married and enjoy my wedding without him there. I didn't know. Like, I was at a loss. I was like, okay, at this point, I'm just going to have to, like I said, get used to this new normal without him. And it sucks. But I just kept thinking of what he would want. And I said, he was always joking, laughing. He would want me to be happy during this time. And, I prayed, even though I was mad at God, I prayed. And, I started being thankful for all the years I did have him, because I did have my grandfather for a long time. And I started being thankful for that and thanking God for that. And then I'll never forget, on the morning of my wedding, I remember looking outside of the window of my hotel room, and it's weird. I just felt his presence. I felt like he was there witnessing everything. And I thought beforehand, I said, oh my God, my wedding might be a sad day. When my grandfather died, I said, my wedding might be a sad day. It might not even be a happy day because my grandfather's not here. He was supposed to be one of the people that walked me down the aisle. And I just remember praying. I was like, oh God, please don't let this be a sad day. It's supposed to be a happy day. Please just let me feel his presence. And I did. Like, I wasn't even cognizant of it at the time, but I just felt like he was there. Like, as I was getting ready, as I was filming, or getting filmed, as my videographer was filming, as my photographer was taking pictures, I just felt like a peace. It's just a peace came over me, and I felt his presence there. Like, I was like, I don't even know how to explain it. And as I walked down the aisle, I felt his presence there. He was in that place. He was definitely in that place and enjoying himself. And that day, I just felt so happy. It was because of everything that was transpiring, but it was also because I felt like he was there. And it's like any little sadness that tried to creep up during that day, I was like, nope, he's here. Nope, he's here. And I kept smiling because of it. Because I just knew he was in that place, and God made me aware that he was in that place. Okay, so moving on from that, we need to be able to identify our grief and differentiate it from what we would think is depression. Being depressed, it can be a mood disorder, or it can be a mental condition. And grief is none of that. Grief is, it may affect your mental, but I'm saying, if you're pretty much healthy and you've experienced a loss, it's okay to be in sadness, and it's okay to be in grief. You don't have to accept that you're depressed and maybe take medication for it. That's what I'm saying. But if you have like a mood disorder or some mental thing that's bothering you, and you don't know what the cause of it is, then that is when you would normally seek, some type of diagnosis, or try to take medication for it. I don't know. And I didn't have the language around this early on when I had begun to lose a lot of people in my life. So when I would go to the doctor, I would say, one of the questions they ask you, are you depressed? And I would say, yeah, because I was feeling sad over a loss. But they didn't dig deep into that. Once they ask you, are you depressed? Then they say, oh, okay, well, there's medication for that, or, what are you feeling, depressed about? And then you can talk about it a little bit, but they don't delve deep. Okay. Or tell you, straight up, you're not depressed. You're dealing with something. You are going through a loss. Medication is not going to fix that. It's not going to bring the person back. And I'm not knocking medication. It's just that I'm saying, if you pretty much check out as a mentally healthy person and then you suffer a loss, it's okay to grieve through that sadness, okay, and kind of pick yourself back up. All right, so let's go through some ways you can kind of pick yourself back up. One of the ways I did was spending time with family and friends, people that love me. Not spending time with people that don't love me. I wouldn't do that anyway, but spending time with people who love and care about you and making memories with them. Because that, let's be honest, that's one of the things that you miss when you grieving a person. You like, wow, I don't care if you made 1,000,001 memories. You're going to wish you had made 1,000,002. So kind of just being around the people who you love and appreciating them while they're here. That helps, because that's what life is all about. Making memories and spending time with the people you love. So I think back to one of my favorite movies, My Girl, when he was grieving his wife. The husband was grieving his wife, and Anna Schlumsky, maybe that's her name, was the daughter, and Veda was her name. Anna Schlumsky is the real actress. Veda was his daughter, but the dad was a funeral home owner, and he was so focused on the loss of his wife. And Jamie Lee Curtis, ended up being his girlfriend. She came into his life, and she was like, don't ignore the living, especially your daughter. And that kind of stuck with me. I haven't seen that movie since I was a little girl, but that stuck with me because it's true. It's like sometimes you can get so deep into your own feelings that you start ignoring the people that surround you, who care about you, who are still very much living, and who you need to be spending time with. Okay, so your loved ones are going to make you feel better. Also, journaling. That helps because you can write out your feelings. It's just something about taking that pen to paper. I'm a computer girl. I do everything on my computer. I love my computer, but it's just something about this book right here and this pen right here when you can write out how you're feeling, and just also refer back to it and read. Like, I go back to all of my old journals. I've been keeping journals since I was about 8 years old, and I go back and read through how I was feeling. And sometimes, especially my teenage journals, oh my God, or my preteen journals, I go back and read those journals, and I'm like, oh my God, I was so dumb. But it's good to see how you thought at one point, because you can refer back to it. And that's why, I feel a really sad feeling when I think about people who commit suicide, because I'm just thinking, wow, if they just maybe gave it a year or two, my hope is that they will be able to look back at their writings or their journal entries and say, dang, I can't believe I thought like that. Because some things are just due to your immature way of thinking. You just haven't experienced enough yet. You haven't lived enough yet. And so that's why you think that way. And so it's just sad, when people take their life, because some things that you're so upset about and think that, oh my God, this will never end, this will never be over, it's simply because you haven't lived enough, or you haven't experienced enough. When you look back, sometimes that stuff is more than likely, the stuff you were stressed about or worried about is small potatoes. Unfortunately, life gets harder, but fortunately enough, you adapt, and things that were once hard, they're not even that hard anymore. Like sitting here talking on this camera. At one point, I thought I felt like I'm talking to myself, but I've been talking to myself all my life, to be completely honest with you, but the world just wasn't able to see it. And now, the more I talk, as you can see, the more this video has gone on, I'm more comfortable talking to you. Whereas though, when this video first started, I was like, ugh, I'm back from a hiatus. I don't know what to say. But now my words are flowing. All right, so we covered that. Also, you have to look at the state of the world right now. TikTok. Looking at TikTok alone, like, you're seeing all the stuff that's going on in these other countries. It's really sad right now. So maybe you are not depressed. Maybe you are looking at things that are making you sad because you're a very empathetic person. Like me, for example, I'm sad at the state of the world and how things are going and how people are treating people. That's enough to make me feel sad. Also, when I look at TikTok, I'm a big animal person. So anytime I see an animal in pain or being neglected, or someone's like they found a stray animal who's hurt, that does something to my heart. Sometimes I just stay off TikTok. Sometimes you just have to do that. Stay off TikTok. Because you also grieve the fact that you thought this world was a nice, happy place. I mean, I know I grew up like that. I grew up thinking that, oh, as long as you're good to people and this is a good world, as long as you're good, good is going to come back to you and only good things are going to happen to you. I had to grieve the fact that that's not the case. You know, I'm still grieving the fact that you can be the best person in the world, the nicest person in the world. Messed up stuff is still going to happen to you. Okay, so I'm grieving that. The fact that I thought this world was different, I thought, karma and everything and how I thought things work was different. I thought if you're good, you only get good back. That's not the case. So, we're constantly grieving that. A friendship that you thought was a friendship, but turns out they're just your associate. That's grieving a loss, the loss of the fact that you thought you had yourself a friend, but you don't. You thought you had family, but you don't. Those people are talking about you in a horrible way. They don't wish the best for you. Okay? Different types of grief or different things that you can be grieving. So depression is really hard to define or put into a box, but what I will tell you is that to encompass it, depressed feelings are feelings that just come out of nowhere. You're just sad for no reason. Everything is going so-called good in your life, or you have all these good things, but you just can't shake this negative feeling that you're happening. Okay? But if you're out here living and you have a heart and you have feelings and horrible things are happening to you or around you, you're not necessarily depressed. You are grieving or suffering a loss or a hardship. And you just need to learn how to label that thing so you can know what it is and address it. It's important to address it. And I've went over the ways to address it. Surround yourself by your family and friends. Also, journal. Is there anything else or any other way that you can? I think that's pretty much it. Other than pray. Just reach to a higher power. Reach out to a higher power for help. Look for signs. Signs will come also. I think that's pretty much all I have for today. I've been missing. I've been going through my own grief. It's kind of phasing out and I say that because I've had more moments of happiness than I have sad moments. You never know when it's going to hit you, but I have more happy moments than sad moments lately. And that's mainly due to I'm creating them. So yeah, that's another solution I would say. Don't just sit back and wait. Sorry, my phone went out. Yeah, that's something else I would say. Don't just necessarily sit back and wait for things to happen. You got to make them happen. Make some plans. Make some plans to get out. Make some plans to live and do things that you enjoy. Do more of what you enjoy so that you can have more of those experiences in your life. Do more of the good thing. I'm going to get started back with my healthy eating and my exercising because it's like a downward spiral. You feel the grief, you gain the weight, then you're more lethargic, and then you're not feeling those happy hormones, or getting those happy endorphins from the working out. So it's just a plunge down. My loved ones who have passed along would not want that for me. They will want me to live my best life. So I have to be on the up and up for them. Do it for them. You do it for them. I think that's pretty much all I have. Thank you for tuning in. What I did want to say is, coming back fancy was my whole thing for when I come back. I think that's why I held off for so long, because I'm like, oh no, everything's not right. My hair is not perfect. I don't look the best. And, people can tell when they look at me that I'm probably going through something. And so I just made every excuse in the world. But sometimes you have to throw yourself back out there, which is what I'm doing right now. Just throw yourself back out there. Don't even worry about all that. I don't necessarily need no fancy intro. I don't need no fancy words to say. Just talk in hopes that you'll help someone. I'm getting back on my business grind. Website launching soon. That's really all I have. Just UPS is pulling up. They probably have a package for me. Just getting back to what makes you happy and doing more of that. That's where I'll end it off. Getting back to what makes you happy and doing more of that will help you get through your grief and sadness. And if you do find that you are depressed, please seek help. Please seek help. And some people would say seek help even if you're grieving. Get a grief counselor. And that is good advice as well. I have not had that. So I don't know if I should recommend that or not. So I'm not going to. I haven't had a grief counselor. I've just been working through things on my own. So that's the only advice that I can give from my perspective. But I do want to thank you all who are watching for turning in. I hope you gained something from this. I hope this has helped you in some way to either seek help or do more of the thing that makes you happy. I hope it inspires you. If you've just stopped in your tracks like I did and just stopped everything because you're feeling a period of sadness, I encourage you to get back to it. Let this be the day. Or if it's not today, rest for the rest of this day and then get back on it tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. What better way to start than a weekend? Thanks for tuning in. Talk to y'all later. Bye.